Hello friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to look at how to retrieve and display all available users in our Signal chat in .NET 8 Blazor web app with interactive WebAssembly render mode. We've made a video already on how to create a hub, how to create a service, how to create a database service, get data from database and also display them, how to add authentication to it. So if you haven't checked any of the videos, check the video description and the links are in there waiting for you. Okay, now this is a overview of what we're going to do today. As soon as someone gets connected to the hub, a connection ID gets created and assigned to that entity or that user. When a page refreshes, the ID or the connection ID changes. So we do not have any one static ID. It is dynamic, so it keeps changing when a page is reloaded or when the user navigates to another page and returns. So we are going to retrieve this ID. And now, since we have authentication against this app, we're going to also retrieve the user ID which was used in the authentication or the claims. We store these two IDs in there as an entity. Now we need to create a DTO. What are the DTO going to use for? The DTO is going to handle the user info, that's the user name, the user email, the connection ID, and now the user ID. So we can get the name, the full name as a claim from this DTO and on display. We also have to create a service in the hub. That is to notify users when a new user gets connected. That is all that we need to do to make this work. So we're going to notify users who are connected already when a new user gets connected and now display or add a name to the available names or available users list. Let's get going. But before we dive right into this, make sure you have subscribed to this channel, and also there's a bell beneath this video. Click on that bell to receive updates as soon as I do upload new content. Like this video to support this channel as well. The source code of this project, the whole project, will be available, so check the video description and you can also have access to it. I do offer a coaching session to people who are interested in .NET technologies, talking about Blazor, which is a server, WebAssembly, .NET 8, Web API, Mari, Blazor Hybrid. So if you're interested, I have an email in the video description. You can write to me through it. Okay, so that is it. Let's get going. Now in our project, as you can see from here, we have the client and then we have the server. Okay, so we're going to create two models. The first model is going to be an entity and the second one is going to be a DTO. So entity is what we're going to use to create a database table, and I'll save the connection ID and now the user ID to it, to the table. Okay, so let's get this created. We can create a model in here from the server. We can just add a model folder to the server, and then we can add DTO to the client. Okay, so in here, let's right click on the server. Let's add a folder to this, and I'm going to name this as models. So take note, when adding models to the server, it won't be available in the client, but when you add it to the client, it will be available in the server. So know what you're doing before you add a model. Do not add a model to any project you like. Okay, you make sure you know what you're doing. Now within the models, we're going to add a class to this, and on this class we can name it as available user. Okay, so available user. Now with this available user, we're going to need two properties here. So we need the string. Okay, first we need an integer, since we're going to have database in the primary key, and this is going to be the ID. Start from this, we need a string of user ID. So string of user ID, and now here this is going to be string.empty. Then the last one here, we need a connection ID. So connection ID is coming from the hub. We are not going to create a connection ID. It's going to be created automatically by the hub as soon as the user gets connected to the hub. Okay, So in here we have this. We go to our app database, and there's an appdb context class. Then we're going to add in here, so there's an available user, and now we can say the table name should be available users. Okay, so now that we are done in here, what are we going to do? Let's come to the server. Now that's the client, and now within the client we need to create DTO. So we have a models in here, that's the user info. Let's add a DTO to this. So DTOs, and now with this DTO we're going to create a class which is available user DTO. So within this we have to go in here, we need to grab this. Okay, then in here we can make this as a record. Then let's specify string. We need user ID. String. We need connection ID. Then string. We need full name. And string, we need email. So these are the properties that we need as a DTO to return it to the view. So we can extract only the user full name. If you want to also display the email address, you can also do that. User full name and our email address are found in the authentication, so we can retrieve this. And now from the user ID too, we can get from the authentication. Now the connection ID we can get from the hub. So we're going to retrieve this from the client, and I retrieve the connection ID from the hub, which is the server. Okay, so we're going to create and we're going to provide values for this. And now when it gets to the hub, we also provide, we add this as an attach, or we supply the rest, which is the connection ID value, to make it a complete. Then we push or we forward it out. Okay, so now that we have this, what are we to do again? We have to create a repo to display, or to display the list, add the connection ID and now the user ID to the table, and also create a method to get it out. Okay, so we can display. We go to the charts repo, and this from the server repo. Now you can see from here, we hit this add a chart, this get the chart, and what we need to do here is let's add available user. So this is going to be public, and it's a task. Add available user async, and now this is going to come in with available user. So you create an instance here, and now we're going to say that first of all, since we're going to have a multiple connection ID, we cannot just add a straight to database. Else, if we do that, when the user navigates to the page and returns, it's going to have two connection IDs. So in such case, this method is going to be called by the hub, and if it is called, it's going to add it. So we're going to have a multiple instances or multiple records for one user. We don't do that. So you first want to check if the ID or if the username is already in the database table. Then we want to update the connection ID to get us the current connection ID. Okay, so let's say this get user. Then let's find appdb context dot available users, so we can have dot first or default. And now in here we can say that dot user ID, since this is a string, you can just use equal to available user dot user ID. Okay, so this is what we want to find it here. Now we're going to check if get user is not equal to null, meaning if it is found already. What are we going to do? We want to just update it. So how can we update it? Get user ID dot, here we have to update the connection ID is equal to available ID dot connection ID. So this is what we need to do. We need to update this one, because for the user ID, it is set statically from the claims. Okay, so one ID, that is what the user going to have for the whole application. So for that one, you need to update it, but you need to update the connection ID sequentially. Okay. What of in case it is new one, then we want to update it. So appdb context dot available users dot add. So the first time is going to add available user. The second time is going to update it. So await appdb context dot save changes async. Okay, so here we're going to save it, we update or we add, then we save. Aside from doing this, let's get available list, user list. So this is going to be also public. It's a task. And now this, you must have an async first, since you're going to work with database. Async. Then here, let's provide a list of available user DTO. So here we need a DTO, and we say get available user async. Okay, now with this, what are we going to do, or what can we do in here? You know, the database has available user, and here we want to return the DTO. Now when you compare the models within the DTO and the properties within the DTO and the available, the model itself, the entity, you can see that the DTO has more properties than the entities, right? So we need to extract it and now assign values to the extra properties that we have in the DTO, which are not found in the available user, the entity model. I hope you've gotten the idea. So first of all, this is what you're going to do. You want to create a list. So let's say this is list. So list is equal to new available DTO, and this must be a list. You see? So we now have this. We create a list of this, and after creating this list, we want to get all users is equal to await appdb context dot available users dot to list. You see? So to list, you must have this async as well. So now that we have this, what I'm going to do, we're going to loop through this list. So for each, we have var u in users. Then, whilst looping through, we want to add this. So list.add. Okay, now with this add, we want to specify new available user DTO. Now this DTO, we need to provide user ID, right? So let's provide user ID. So now with this user ID, what do we need to? What's the user ID here? It is u.user ID. Okay, this must be users. Then the next one, let me close this one. So the next one, we have which one? Connection ID, isn't it? So for connection ID, we have it at u.connection ID. So we have this in here. Then the next one, we have what? Full name. So with full name, what do we need to do? We come back to this, and now let's inject this user manager. For that is where we can have access to this. So there's an app user, and we're going to say user manager. So now with this user manager, we're going back in here, and we can say that from the full name, we're going to say await user manager dot find. Here we have the user ID. Okay, so find by ID, and now let's provide in u dot user ID. Then at the end, we can now get .full name. Let's make a duplicate of this. Let's check for now. And let's see. So this is not going. Okay, we want to check if this is null. So we see the user ID. Okay, so it must be here. It must be outside. Okay, then we're going to find the email. Okay, so for email, it's not found by ID. After find by ID, we can get the email from this. So we have all the properties assigned, isn't it? Okay. This the thing is now. Okay. So now that we are done with this, what can we do? All that you need to do here is return the list. And that is it. Very simple one. So the next thing is we want to save this available user. You want to add any user which gets connected to the hub automatically. So we want this to be done as soon as the user gets connected to the hub. So the best place to handle this is within the hub. So let's go to the hub and chat hub folder, chat hub class. And in here, that is where you want to perform this operation. Okay. So this, what we need to do. Let's have a method known as public async task, and I will say this is add available user. We can add async as well, and now in here we need to provide available user or the available transport. Available user, which is coming from the namespace of this. Then we create an instance. So in here, we're going to say that available user that connection ID. So with this, we're going to assign the ID, that connection ID here. Okay, is equal to this. Provide a context dot. Now we can get connection ID from the hub. So as soon as the user gets connected, we have connection ID. And now we're going to assign it to this connection ID. Aside from that, we can just save it. So await chat repo dot save available or add available user, passing this available user. Okay, so this one we are done. Now once you are done, let's get all users so we can send it as a notification. So users is equal to, then we say chat repo dot get available users async. So whilst we have these users in here, we're going to say await, then client dot or you want to notify all, so dot send async. Then what is the method that you want to? So that is notify all client. Okay, notify all clients. This is a method that we're going to call, and now in that we're going to pass in this list of users. So if I get added, if data is get added or a user is get added, this method will be called automatically, and now all is going to broadcast it to all clients who have connected to the hub. This must be task. I know you've done the right thing. Okay, you did not follow what I did. Alright, so now we have this. The next thing we're going to do here is after creating this, Ctrl K, we can remove unnecessary ones to make this simple. Let's close everything from here. So let's go to the hub. That is our chat page. Now in our chat page, we first want to create a list. So let's say this is public list of, we have this available users. And we need to include a namespace for this. And aside from that, I'll give you the name as available users. And now in C# version 12, we can now have access to this. Instead of creating a new instance of having new keyword, we can use this one. Okay, so now we have the list. We need to create an endpoint so we can subscribe to this when the page loads. So let's have one instance in here. When the page loads, initially we want to get all connected clients, and now when the page loads, we want to get our connected client from the available user table. So if when you connect to this app and now there's already users, these users info are kept or are saved in the table. So when you add, we should get the table when the page initializes, get the data from the table or the record, and I'll display it on the screen for you to know or see the available users existing already. You see? So let's have, and with this, we're going to say available users. This equal to, so get from JSON async, and now this coming in from, we need available user DTO, and the route that we need to specify here, it is localhost API. So I'm going to say this is users. Okay, so we have API, okay, chat / users. Chat is a controller, and now users, it is a route. Okay, let's grab this one. All right, so once you have this, we need to now loop through this and now display. So we have column LG7, and we can have our div class on top here, and now we say this is column LG2, just okay. Then in here, let's close this. Let's have our an added list, and in this you're going to have a class of list group. Then in here we're going to say at, so maybe if available list is not equal to null, that is where we want to do this. What are we doing? We want to loop through this. So for each var user in available users, we want to just list them. So here we have class as list group item. Then we provide u dot, let's display the full name. That's what we want. So u dot full name. Okay, so this is what you want to display. Now we have to loop through this and now display it on the screen. Now from the hub, we are calling this in here. We are calling this to get a list when the page initializes. Aside from that, we need to subscribe to this notification so we can receive, or we can see the current user who just connected. So in order to do that, we can just copy this hub, and now with this hub, let's go to the hub. The method is for notify all clients. Let's grab this. Let's go to the page, and now let's change the page here. Now this page or this hub, when you check it well, it's coming in with a list of what? Users. So we must do the same thing from this, and instead of this one, it must be list of available user DTO, and that will be users. Okay, now we are not going to add this, so we're going to say available users is equal to user. Since a list to list, we then assign, we invoke status change. So we can create this status change as one method, so we can be calling it here and call it here. But don't worry, just a one line of code, so we can repeat it in here. That's fine. Now we need to do here is to create our hub. You know that hub, our endpoint. Now let's go to the controller from the server, And now from the controller, we need another one in here so we can get the data or the list. And I remember the routes. The route here is users. I don't know whether it's the same. When you check the hub, is it user or users? Check the page, users. Okay. And so get available users async. And now in here, we're gonna say that dot get available users async. Okay, so there's a method that we need. We save this one. So the next thing is, how do we retrieve the user info? Now you know that we provided, when you check the hub, we are only assigning the value of connection ID. But what of the user ID? We can retrieve it from this page. You know, before you can have access to this, you must be authorized. So we have an authorized attribute on top here. And now down here, when you come here, we need to inject this. So let's inject cascading parameter. And here we need to provide authentication state, which contains the state of the user. So authentication state. Now this we need to include dot authorization. And now here we are saying that this is authentication state. So with this, we can specify the user in here. So in order to retrieve the user info, maybe we can just create one class to handle this. Okay, so down here we can have private async task. And now here we can say get authentication. So get user authentication. And now within this method, what we want to do here is we can have user is equal to so dot user. And in that we're going to have await, then authentication state. Okay, so we can retrieve the user, and after retrieving the user, we're going to check if user dot identity dot is authenticated. So you can have identity dot, we're gonna have this is authenticated is equal to true. That is only when we want to perform this. So if it is true, then we want to say hub connection dot send async, and now the method name here is add available user. And within that, we need to specify new available user. Okay, so new available user, and that's where the problem comes in here. So this tells us that we cannot, or we should move this available user to this model. Now let's change the namespace. Then we can delete this model. Okay, so that means after changing this, we have to include it here and remove this one. The same thing has to be done in the repo. So remove this. Okay, so this is set and done. Now let's see. Yes. So now this is what we're going to do from here in our chat page. we're going to call this now available user, and now this available user, we need to provide the connection ID and the user ID. Okay, so now with this, the first thing that we can do here is we need a connection ID. Let's say available user, and this is coming from the models. Okay, so we need user ID. Now this user ID is equal to, we can have access to this user. So let's grab this user dot, then you can have access to user dot claims. So dot first, I'm not getting the first, so dot first or default. So dot type is equal to claims type dot name identifier. So now we are retrieving it, and now with this we want the value. Okay, so that's what we need. Now let's make this as nullable. Okay, so we need the user ID from here. Now after creating this, let's make this as nullable as well. We are providing user ID, but you know this model contains two properties, user ID and connection ID, and we are going to provide a connection ID when it gets to the hub. Okay, so that's what we are doing. So with this we can make it in this form. Yes. Okay, now with this get user authentication, where are you going to call this? We call this as soon as the hub gets connected. Okay, so here we can say that await. So when the user the user joins the chat, this page is going to initialize, and now when the page is starting, this method is going to get called. When this method gets called, we also call this method at the end, and now this method we're going to retrieve the current user ID, and now we pass on to this, and we call this method add available user. Let's go to the hub. The hub, chats hub, that is this one. Now let's make sure. So here we having need to include this again. We have this notify our client, and we see that from here we are adding available user, right? So we need to grab this one. Let's go to the chat page, and now here we need to call this. So we call this method. After calling this method needs this payload, so we have to provide this. We provide one, and now when it gets to the hub, it also adds the other one, and I get to the database. We call this method and also call notify all the clients. Now this method too, we go to the page, chat page, and now from here we subscribe to this event. Then we assign the list coming in here to this list. We are looping through this list on top here, and now we call state has changed to update the UI. So this is what we are doing. Okay, now we are done with this. We need to update or add migration. So let's quickly do that. So add dash migration, and here we going to add client. Or is it add client? Let's say add available users. Let's wait for this to be done. So now this is done, we can update database. Yeah, so this is also done. Now let's run this and see. But before that, let's make sure we have the app open, a database open. So you have to launch our DB browser, and I believe you know how to launch this. So launch it and open your database. I'm opening mine. Yeah, so it is opening, and that is it. So we are looking for available users. So we have this ID, user ID, and our connection ID. Okay, so let's see, let's run this and I'll check it out. As soon as we get connected to the hub, we must see our ID and our connection ID inserted automatically. Alright, so this is ready. Now we're going to log in here. Now if I log in, let's see. Yeah, so now we are in. Okay, but when we refresh this, nothing happens because you've logged into the system, but you haven't clicked on the chat page. The chat page initializes the chat hub connection, and at the connection get this hub connection start. When it starts, then it creates the connection ID for you, the user. So since that page has not been initialized, your ID is not ready, so you cannot chat. Okay, now as soon as I click on chat, see what happens. Yeah, so we have an error here. It is saying send call method called cannot be called if the connection is not active. Okay, so let's see. So I wait, send async, add available user async. Alright, so let's check this out. So let's go to the page, chat page, and now let's check it out. Yeah, so there's an issue. The hub must get started before you can call a method within the hub. Yes. So how is this possible? How can we call a method while the hub is not started? Whoa. I believe it did not follow this, isn't it? Or it did the same. Okay. Now let's rebuild this again and now let's check it out. So let's see. The hub did not start, so we're not going to have any record in the database. Let's wait and see this app get built and displayed, run, and we can now log in again and start the chat and see that we're going to have this ID and the connection ID inserted. That's right. So let's click on login. Now we are in. So if I refresh this, still nothing happens. Click on this chat, and now this is going to open to the chat that we have. Yes, so it is opening, and now check it out. If I refresh this, you can see that we have the user ID. This is your user ID. And now if I check this, you see we have your connection ID. So this is a connection ID. It ends with SA, right? If I go to, let's see, if I go to this home and I'll come back, there's a new connection ID which has been created and assigned. Have a look. This ends with SA. If I refresh this, MQ. Okay. Go back. Again. Refresh this. OQ. You can see that. So at any instance it gets created, the ID gets changed. And if the ID changes, we update it. If the new one, we add it. Okay. So this is a Netcode-Hub. Have you seen the name? Let's actually give it a title here well, so you can see. Now on the hub here, we're going to have this is a class of list UL, and let's provide card. So div class. So this is card, and in that we can have this class of card header. And now here we're saying that available users or online users. So online users, well, give it any name you want. Okay. inside here we're going to have a div class of card body. Oh, see what I've done. So this is card body, and inside this, that is where we are performing this magic. Okay, now if I save this and wait for this page to get reload, we shouldn't see this. We must have, yes, online users, and maybe you can make this as green. Okay, so online users, and here this is test success, and I'm going to make the same thing in here, test success, to change it to green color. Yes, because if you are online, the text must be green. What do you think? Okay, now this is not taking effect. So if I add it here, will this work? Yes. So online users. So we have one Netcode-Hub. I'm going to open the next one. I have this Edge. I have Chrome here. And now have a look here. So you can see here we are also logging in. So let me just, okay. So this is Fred at Gmail, and this Netcode-Hub, and let's log into this and check it out. Sorry, user not found. Do you have to create an account? I think we created one yesterday, isn't it? That's Fred at Gmail, and it's Fred at 123. Is that so? Whoa, still. Let's create an account. So this is going to be Frederick. And I have Fred at gmail.com. So Fred at 123. Fred at 123. Click on register. This is not match. Fred at 123. 123. This should match now. Yes, so let's log in. Click on chat, and now watch here. So here I have Frederick joined. Now with this, I don't have Fred. You see this? Here I have Frederick joined. I have Netcode-Hub. But with this, I don't have Fred. Click on chat. Now I have Fred in here. But this is not what we want. We want, as soon as I add this, you want to get notified in here. You don't need to refresh it. Okay, I'm going to add one more. So this is a Chrome. It's not Chrome, this is Opera. So we're going to add a new one. Maybe Simon will be okay for this. I have a Gmail. Then Simon at 123. Simon at 123. Click on register. And now let's log in. Okay, so I'm going to click on this chat. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so you see that here we have Simon added. Simon can see the other online users, but online users here cannot see unless they refresh. This is an issue, so let's solve this out quickly. Let's go to the app. Oh, okay, so I went offline and I tried to go through the whole system and check it again, and I believe you did not do what I did. You can see from the add available user, you're supposed to, this must be an await so we can return the result. I believe you did that, isn't it? Well done. Okay, so this is all we need to do, and that is the reason why our system get delayed and the old users do not see the new user who has joined unless they refresh their app. Okay, so I think with this, let's start this again, and now everything must work as expected. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's see. Now we're going to start first. Fred is going to log in. So let's log in. Yeah, so we are in. Now, after logging in, let's go to the database. Let's refresh this and see the available user. No one is there. So let's initialize the chat. So we want to go in there and see if someone is there. We went there and we saw that, okay, we have only ourselves. So only Fred, that's myself. I'm here. I'm waiting. When you check in here, refresh this, and we see we have the ID and the connection ID. Now this guy, admin, wants to log in as Netcode-Hub. He wants to log in, so he logs in. And if admin clicks on this chat, let's see, you could see Netcode-Hub, it gets added. And I can see this also gets added. Now see this. So Simon decided to pop in and now check something. Now he logged in and now he clicked on the chat. Now take note. Let's see, automatically you're going to have Simon. And as Simon, you're going to see the two online users. Check it out. Yes. You can see we have them. So that's a way to display available users. So now let's talk about how to log a user out from the chat. If I say log user out, I'm not talking about authentication, and I believe you know that. That's fine. Now, if I want to stop the chat, if I want to quit the chat on my area, definitely I can close, so I can have a button that I can click to log the chat out. But as soon as I log out, I know definitely that I am going to be left out. One of the users, my name, which is appeared on their screen. How is this possible? How can I notify them to or tell them that I am out? That is why we need to also create another hub for this. So in the nav menu, you know, this nav menu here, it is found in the server section, the server project. It is not in the WebAssembly. So if you want to make that component interactive, unless we turn this project into auto, that is a interactive WebAssembly and also interactive server. So we're going to turn that page into interactive server since the component is found on the server. So from that, we're going to implement a button function. We're going to create a hub connection in there. We're going to create another hub method in the hub class that we created. Then we can just click on it. We call the repo, which is going to remove the current user record from the available users table. After it gets removed, we want to notify all clients. And as soon as you notify all clients, we get a list of current online users. We pass on to the method through the hub, and now we notify all clients and also tell them or give it to them the number of current online users that we have, so we can get rid of the old one since the one user is out. So this is what we're going to do. All right, so let's start doing this. So first of all, let's go to the program from the server, and in here we're going to add interactive WebAssembly. So we have WebAssembly already, so we're going to add server component. Then from the endpoint, let's also map this. So dot map. Okay, so dot add interactive server render mode. We are done. Very simple one. So we are done with this. Let's save this. Let's go to the nav page. And that is this nav page. So we can get that from the component folder. And now from this component folder, we can get this nav menu. Okay, so in here, we're going to specify this here as render mode interactive server. So at render mode, then this is interactive server, so let's choose this. Okay, let's go in there and work on the repo. So we go to the repo, chat repo, and in here we're going to create another one, another endpoint, or another method which is going to remove the user. So let's have this public async task, and now let's pass in, so we have public async task, and now with this we are going to specify remove user async. Now here, what we need here, it is the user ID. Okay, that is what we need. Now let's say user is equal to appdb context dot available users. So we can now use dot first or default async, then where user, so user maps to this dot user ID is equal to this user ID. So if user is not equal to null, then you want to say appdb context dot available users dot remove. Then we pass in this user. You see? Then after doing this, what you need to do here, let's see, what is it saying? So it's saying that here cannot convert from this model, we must have an await. Very simple. Then let's await appdb context dot save changes async. We save changes. Let's save this. So this is all we need to do. We just have to remove the user straight away, and we are done with that. Okay. Now we need to create a method in the hub so we can call this method. So in here we can just have public async task, and this is remove user. And now with this, let me add async to this. And now with this remove user, we must pass in string of user ID. Okay, so once you have this, we're gonna say await chat repo dot remove user async. We pass in the user ID. So after passing the user ID, we must get the list of users, and I'll pass on to a method that's a notify all clients method, so we can broadcast this to all clients who have connected. So we're gonna say var users is equal to await appdb context, not appdb context. Okay, we have chat repo dot get available users. So with this method we can just skip this. We can use dry, don't repeat yourself. So that's all you're gonna do. Down here you're gonna have private async task, and now this task, it returns list of, let's see, this is, when you check this one, this return a list of available DTOs. So available DTOs. Okay, and now we say get users. This maps to await chat repo dot get available async. So let's see, private async tags, we need to have another one. Okay, so we call this method, and now in here we can use this method straight ahead. and this must be an await. Aside from that, when we come here, we don't need this anymore. So what we can do here is we're going to say await client dot send. I must have the auth first dot send async. Then we want to call the same method, send this a notification hub, and we can call this method here, and I'll pass in the list of get users. Yes, very simple one. So we are done. That is this one. Now we can close this. Let's save everything. Let's go back to the nav menu. And now from this nav menu, we have interactive render mode specified already. Now, let me close this gap because I don't think we need these gaps. Yeah, so close this as well. Yes, that's fine. Now we come to the code section, and I believe you know what to do already in here, isn't it? We're gonna have our async task, and let's say login and logout. Logout clicked. We're gonna wire this method up to log out this button. So let's see. This is a form. I'm not talking about this form. I'm talking about this. So at click equal to, you want to wire this method up. Okay. So now we are in here. What can we do? Here we need to pass in the user ID, and we can get the user ID from the authentication state, right? So let's use cascading. So cascading parameter. Then we have our property, and this is going to be authentication state. That is this guy. Okay. And in here you must have the same. Okay. So once you have this authentication state, and down here you're going to have our string. Let's have the ID in here, and now we're going to use await authentication state dot user. Then let's have something like this. You want to retrieve dot claims. This must be a task. Okay, so now you can have dot claims dot first or default, and you want to have claims mapped to where claims dot type is equal to claims. So this claim types. Okay, so claim types which you need from security dot claims dot name identifier. Okay. Now aside from having this dot value, so this is what we need. Let's make this as null. Yes, so we are retrieving the name. That's an ID. Okay, now we get the ID from here, and now the next thing that we're gonna do here is, maybe I can bring this here, dot claims. Okay. Now once you have this, the next thing that you're going to do is to have this and await. We need to inject. Let's inject chat repo. And so this is chat repo. Control period. Then we say chat repo dot remove user async. We pass in the ID. Aside from that, so this is going to remove the user. You see? Now when this remove the user, we can see this, but it won't notify our client. Do you understand what I'm trying to mean here? Don't worry, let's run this and I'll check it out. So I'm going to run this. Now this is ready, so I have this one open, and I also have this also open. Yes, so you're going to log in. Now log this in, log this in. Okay, now Netcode and Fred, so click on the chat, and now we have Fred, we have Netcode-Hub, we have Simon. Now click on this. We have the same thing, you see. Now if I log out, see what happens. When we check the database, available users, refresh this. Do we have it? You will see that here we have all the 3 users in here, right? Now with this, I'm going to log this out. So see what happens. This person is out. Now if I refresh this, you can see one it's off, right? But let's refresh this and see. Unless we refresh before we get a one off. So how do you notify this? We need to use the same hub to do it. Okay, so that's all. When you go to the hub, we've done it in there. So we notify the parent, or we notify all clients that, hey, something has happened and one is gone. So please do render. And it gets a list and I'll pass it on to this method. But the issue is, how do you subscribe to this? This notify client method. That's the reason why we need to create a hub connection in the nav menu and also subscribe to this. So let's quickly go to the nav, and we need to state our hub connection. So we're going to say private hub connection. And now we have this hub connection. Now this must come from signal R, so let's include it. When the page initializes, that is where we want to perform all this. So page initialize async. Let's start the connection. So before we start, hub connection must be built first. So it's equal to new hub connection builder. We build this. After building, we need to map it with the URL that we specify in the client server. You know this already. And now with this, we need navigation manager. So let's inject nav manager here. And that is nav manager. Oh, we even have nav manager in there already. So we need not to. So let me remove this. When we check our import.razor, do we have it? Okay, we have it in here already. So we can just grab this. We go to the nav menu. And now here we're going to say that with URL nav manager.to absolute URI. And what is URL? /chat hub. This must be in quotes. Okay. Then dot, we need to build this. Very simple. We're done. Okay. This must be an async in here. So once you are done, we build a connection. So we must start this connection. So let's start this. Await. So hub connection dot start async. We start this, and we have to, when we log out here, we need to notify the chat hub method. Okay, so we can broadcast to your client. So we're going to do that in here. So last I'm going to say await hub connection dot, and this send async remove user async. Then let's specify the ID. That's all that we need to do. Are you done with yours? Okay. Now let's save this. Let's run this application and check it out. So we have the same two clients, and you know what? I'm going to clear this. Refresh this. Let's clear this table. Empty one. I hope you've seen this. Okay. Now let's log in. So Fred is going to log in. Netcode-Hub is also going to log in. So we're going to have two clients or two users available now online. Okay, so I click on chat. Frederick is available, it's online now. Now let's wait while Netcode-Hub also gets connected. So online users, we check it up. Yeah, Frederick is online. So who's going to join? Netcode-Hub said, okay, fine, I want to join it. Now we see we have Netcode-Hub also join. We have these two guys in here. Okay. Now, when you check the table, we have two IDs, two connection IDs. Yes, two connection IDs and now two IDs. That's user IDs. That's what we have in here. Okay, different ones. Now, if this guy wants to go out, wants to log out, okay, he wants to go and eat. Okay, so let's see. Now, if I click on this, Netcode-Hub should be removed, should be closed to the login. And now watch here. If I click this, we shouldn't touch this one, but it must get re-rendered and now display the list out of or without this, the Netcode-Hub who just logged out. Check it out. Did you see it? Yeah, so we've done. So that's a way to notify a client when a user joins or log out. So you know, I forgot that when you check our solution in here, we added a class library here as chat models. You know, I forgot this. That's the reason why I've been adding all our DTOs and our models in here. And I believe he did not do this, right? So let's actually move them to that class library. You want to arrange our things well. Okay, we don't want to be scattering around all models and DTOs. So this I'm going to do. We're going to leave for the repo is going to be here in the server, and now for service it's still going to be in the client because the client will need this service. Okay, this service we're going to modify this a little bit as we move on, so we can have a hub connection in there externally for all the other pages. Now let's move this DTOs to that end. So I'm going to drag this and move it to the chat model class. We also have to move this models. So we have our DTOs, we have our models, and we have to delete them from here. So now that they are no more, it means definitely when we run this, we're going to have an issue, isn't it? If I click on chat, you know, the namespace here is what? Chat model. So you can just grab this. Then from models, it's going to be chat models dot model. That is the namespace. When you check the user info, we do same. Then let's go to the DTOs. So available user DTO, and it must be same. So we have to edit that. Yes. That's fine. So we have our models, so our entities, and we have our data transfer objects. Okay. Now I think this is clear, but when you still run this, you're going to have an error in it. So we have to include a namespace in here. You can see that we have an error here. So control period, and now we're going to use the library models that we created. We can remove this. And I think let's also add this. Yes. But we have an issue here. What is it? Cannot convert from available user to available user. Why? Why can I do that? So available user, let's check the model. From this side, you have models, you have available user. And now this is available user DTO. So that's what we must do the conversion. We should convert from available user, then we add it to add available user async from the chat repo. So it tells us that we have to go through the chat repo and now check. So add available user. Okay, so we need to include this, and we have to remove these namespaces. Okay. Alright. And with this too, we have an issue. Cannot do same. When we check the hub, this is solved. So this one to AppDB contest, it tells you that when you go to the AppDB contest, we need to also make this change. So let's include this, the namespace, and now they are solved. Maybe we can run this and test it out. Okay. For the service, we're going to do it again. So we are not opening the service now. You can just close that. Okay, so when you go to our chat page, let's see what we have. Do you need to correct any? You go to, so from this available user, we have to then include a namespace of available user DTO, which is coming from the model class that we added, the DTOs. So we have to include this namespace. Alright, and now we can remove this too. Okay, available user. Now what is it saying? Could not, are you missing? Available user is not found. So do you have available user, and the namespace, it is .modus. Okay, that's fine. Now we're going to build this again, and I'll see if we're going to have any error here. So build solution. So we have an error, and this namespace does not exist. So which one? User info is coming from modus, and yes. When you go back to the error, I think that is all. So when we build this, this is going to work. Okay, so try rebuilding yours, and I'll make sure you change all the namespaces and I'll put in the correct ones. Build it, and it's going to be fine. Well, we still have a last one to do. So what's the last one? And say the namespace does not exist. Persistent server or state. Yes. So we need to include this. And now let's remove this. Save this. And now again, once again, and we do it again. Yes, once I see that, to up to date. That's fine. So we can close all this. Henceforth, from this time round, anytime that I'm adding model, remind me that I should put it in the chat model class. Okay, so that's where we're going to put our models and our DTOs. Okay, we want to consume the service in our client, and our repo is going to be in the server. Okay, so now that we have this, what's the next thing to do? We can go in there. When you check the UI, you can see that the UI isn't nice at all, because this is a chat, and at least you must have some styling here to make it nice, isn't it? Actually, I'm not into design and styling, but we can have something small to actually do this. Alright, so let's check if when the page loads up and the user is getting checked, okay, getting the list of users and now display it on the screen, we want to at least display something like loading here. We want to display loading indicator. So let's actually add that. We go to the solution, and from the chat page, we can add this from here. So if available users .count is equal to 0, you want to actually display this. Okay, so it's a span that we are displaying. And aside from doing this, you know, if I open the page for you to see, you can see that here I am connected, but I still have this Netcode-Hub, right? And I don't want to see this. I don't want to see my name being displayed. Okay, maybe you're not getting this. Let me open another one for you to see. So you see this browser is a new instance, and I'm going to open this in here. I have to log in as Fred. So now watch it out. I am logging in. Click on the chat, and you can see that I have Frederick, I have Netcode-Hub. When they come here, I have the same Frederick, and I have what? Netcode-Hub. Frederick is me. Netcode-Hub is me from this section, and you want to skip this. Okay, so in order to skip this, you know, UI sucks a lot, and having time to design a whole UI is going to take a whole lot of time. So I don't want to. Maybe you can decide to have your own way of designing a simple UI for yourself. But I have one simple one here that I'm going to use. What I'm going to do here is I just have to go in there, grab it, and I'll paste it. You can get it also from the source code if you actually want to have a look at this. But here, all that I'm doing here is very simple. I'm using this authorized attribute to get the context or the claims where I can grab in the name identifier, or that's the ID of the user. And in there, I can now check. So from here, I'll just grab it from this side, and in here, that's where I'm going to paste this. Okay, so I'm checking using this authorized view, and I'm checking if the claims here is equal to the name identifier, which is equal to the user ID that is coming from the context. Okay, then I can skip that. So if it is not, you can see that's the reason why I'm using this. If it is not, meaning if it is, it's going to skip it. Okay, and now in that we have this a chat, this is the list that is coming in. We have a method. This is a button that I'm using. It's a link anchor tag, and I have a button clicked. So chat user, meaning I want to chat a specific user. But for now, we are not going to. We can just cut this. Let me just copy this, duplicate this, and comment this for now. And I'm going to remove this on click event. Okay, so you're going to have the users in this list form. Aside from doing this chat, we want to enable group chat and also personal chat. So if I want to chat personal you, I have to click on your name, and I get opening in a new tab or in a new page that I can start chatting you. And if it is a group chat too, we're going to have a list of available users. And now when you type in your message, it gets added. Everybody can see in the group. So that will be what we're going to do for this, the last one for this video. Okay. Now we're going to, let's actually navigate to the solution, and let's go to the chat repo from the server. And now the chat hub, talking about the chat repo. So please open the chat repo, not the chat hub. That's a repo. I've seen mine. So we have this add chat async, and we're going to group this as add chat to group, and now add chat to individual, or add individual chat. Okay, that's the name that I'm giving to mine. Well, you can also rename yours any name that you think is suitable for this application. So first of all, we need to update this model. So when you go to the chat models, we have our chat. And now with this chat, you don't want to say just a simple chat like that. You want to say this is a group chat. Okay. And now in here, we want to update these models. The reason why we're doing here is we want to get a sender ID, the person who is sending the message. You want to get his or her ID, the message, and now the date. Okay. So we have to copy this. Let's save, and we go to the solution. And now from here, you know, since the class name has changed, we have to also change this as well. So let's quickly do this. Yes, I believe you're also done. That's fine. Okay, so in here, what I'm going to do, we need to also create our DTO, because you know there's an entity and our DTOs. The reason why we need to create our DTO here is we're going to specify some properties in the DTO which is not found in the entity. Okay, so, and we need that entity too. No, we need that property too in the UI. So that's the reason why I need to create our DTOs. That is data transfer object. I've made a video covering how to use DTOs and automapper, but here we're not using automapper. It is only the DTO. If you have an issue with it, maybe check the video description or the playlist in the description. You're going to have it in there. You can just watch that to get better understanding. Okay, so from here, you know our chat. And I think this chat should be inside the model. Are you going to also have problem here? Group chat and chat models dot models. Okay, that's the name change already. That's fine. Now let's see from the chat page. Maybe you're gonna have an issue. So this must be a group chat, isn't it? Never mind. We solved it out. Okay, let's go to the repo. Now from this chat repo, we need to create our chat group DTO. So let's put that in the DTO. And it's going to be a class. The name here is group chat DTO. So with this class, what do we need? We actually need the same thing, but this time around we need a sender name. Maybe you can decide to make this as a record, but well, I will not. Okay. So you can decide to change this as a record, and for this, I like the normal way, and that's what I'm going to use. So there's we have, okay, maybe let me increase the size. We have our sender, we have our name, sender ID, name, message, and date time. Okay, so this is what we are adding that we missed in the model or identity. We need sender name, so we can display the sender name, not the email. We want the name. So now that we have this, what are we going to do in here? Let's go to our chat repo. Oh, it's not this one. It has a lot of red lines. Okay, so in here, we need to change this to what? Chat, group chat. But with this, I'm going to replace the whole thing with that. So group chat DTO is as we are returning to that, and now in here we need to make changes. Group chats. So this must happen in the AppDB context. And now where we have the chats, it must be group chat and group chats. Go back again to the repo, and now we have it solved. So we get or we add the current one. So after adding, we want to get the list and I return. That's what we are doing. So since the user manager contains the info about this current user, we can extract, we can get the full name from this. Remember that when creating authentication, we created an extended class known as the app user, whereby we added one property known as full name. Do you remember? Yes, and that's the reason why we are doing this. So we want to grab the full name of that said user, and I return as a group chat DTO. Okay. Once we are returning, you can see here, when we return, when we add it to the database, you want to return that object, okay? But you want to return everything. So here we're going to override this method, and now we paste in this method. So it's returning a list of group chat DTO, and now we create an instance of this. We get a whole list from database. We now loop through and now create it an object one after another whilst we do add to the list. At the end, return it. So we have the next one, that is an add available user async. From this method, we want to return a list. As soon as we add, you want to grab the whole list and now return. Okay. So within this, we created an available user DTO. When you check our DTOs folder, you can see we have available user DTO. And now this DTO has user ID, connection ID, full name, and our email. I think these properties are too much. So we will just need only, I think, 3 or 2. So maybe we can, because this we are just displaying it on the screen. Okay, so we don't even need the ID. What we need is the user ID and the username. This is what we need. Okay, so we save this, we go back to the chat repo, and now add available user async. We are going to override this method and add other feature, add more code to this. So here, what are the extra methods or code are we adding? You can see here we are returning a list of available user DTO. So it means that when we are done adding or updating, we want to then get the whole list and our return. Okay, so with this we have this available user, and we can get it from a method in here. We have the list. So this is the table name. We can just grab the whole list, loop through, create an instance of this, and our return. So with this, maybe we can decide not to, because we don't need the email, we need only username and full name, return the list to this, so we can have the current available user. So if anybody joins it, the list or the method must be called. We're going to call this one to get the whole list after the user has been added. And now this has to be updated in the UI for the user to see that, okay, fine, this guy has joined the chat. And maybe we can also create another method to get only available user async, and we have this method already. So I'm going to override this, and I'm going to leave this email because we don't have email property again. We remove it. So we have it, the user ID and also the full name. That is to get available users async. What if in case I remove user 2? I want to also get the same list, because user will be removed from the list, and now getting the list is going to exclude the user, so you're going to have the current list. So when you check here, you can see we have this remove user async, and it is coming from this, so we are overriding this. So let me clear this one. So you can see from here we need to also remove the email, because we are not having the email again. It's return a list of available user DTO. So when you check here, you can see we are going to remove it in here, and now we're going to get the list. So maybe you can integrate dry principle, that is do not repeat yourself. In other time you've been calling available user 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. Yeah, so 3, isn't it? And even this is 4, because we're getting the list, we're getting it. Maybe we can just create a simple class to handle this, and you're gonna skip all this. Okay, you can do this, try it yourself. All right, now that we are done here, what are we going to do next? We are done with the group, so we can now add message to the group. We can also add, as soon as the user joins the chat as an online user, we can add it. So when the user logs out, it's going to be removed from the list, and it's going to update the UI for the user to see. The next one which is left is chatting individually. If I want to click on the chat, maybe an online user, and I'll chat him, is it possible? You must first have a repo created, and that is where we need to save this chat and do a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so let's see. Now in order to do that, we need to create a class, and this class I'll name it as individual chat. So let me just grab this. So let's go to, we need to create a DTO and also the entity for this. So in the models folder, we're going to add a class, and this class we're going to name it as individual chat. Now within this class, we're going to have some properties such as ID. Since we're going to store in the database, we definitely need an ID. So this is going to be public. I'm going to clear all this. So we have ID, we have sender ID, receiver ID, message, and now date. This is the model which is going to be saved, formed or simplified, or it's going to use to create the database table as individual chat. Okay. Now once you are done with this, you know the next thing to do. Let's go to the add DB context class, and I'll specify our DB set before you and I forget it. Yeah, so let's quickly do that. So solution appdb context, and now here we're going to add, so this is going to contain group chats, and it's going to contain individual chats. Let's go to the repo. So the next method that we're going to do here is we're going to add a group individual chat. So if I want to chat, I send a message in here from the individual as payload, then from the appdb context we're going to add it, and we're going to save that. Okay. Now if I want to return it as a list, what am I going to do? I believe you can do that, isn't it? Try this and let's see. So this is what we're doing. We need to create a DTO first. Let's go to solution. In the DTOs, we are going to create a new class. And now this is going to be individual chat DTO. Now with this individual chat DTO, what are some of the properties that you think you're going to be needing? Which one? Okay, so we're going to need the sender ID, the sender name, the receiver ID, the receiver name. The reason why we need this is we want to display the name, not the ID. Okay, because maybe the user does not even know what the ID means. So all that what he's looking at is the name. So for the ID is for you, the programmers. The name is for the users. Yes. Okay, we have the receiver name and we have the sender name. Now that we are done, let's go to our repo and I'll have a look in here. So in our repo, we add it. And now before we grab this, you can see we must provide this model. Why? Request chat DTO. Why do we need this model? You know, when getting individual chat, a chat could have a lot of user IDs, receiver IDs, sender IDs, and messages. Okay, you want to fish ours out from the table, so we must provide the sender ID and also the receiver ID, because I can chat you today, I can chat your friend tomorrow, and in this case, if I want to get you and I chat, I must first find my ID and I'll find your ID on the same record. If I want to find your friend, I must find my ID and your friend's ID on the same record, okay? Together. So that's the reason why we need to create this request chat DTO. Let's quickly do that. Well, you can give it any name you want, but for me, this okay. So request chat DTO, we have this in here, and this is gonna be public. You know, DTOs you can use record, class, record or class. I'm using class. You can use record. Let's use class for now because all the time I've been using record. Now we're going for class. And now with this, we need only two properties, as you know, sender and receiver ID. Let's save this. Now when you go back to the chat repo, it must be solved. So see what we're doing. We're creating a list of this individual chat DTO. After creating this list, we want to grab the whole list even here from the database table known as individual chats, and see what we're doing. We're going to check, is the sender ID equal to the sender ID or the receiver ID? So the sender ID here is equal to the sender ID coming in from the payload. The receiver is also the same, or we turn it upside down because I can chat you, you can chat me. So we have to turn it upside down, and you can see we're also searching the same thing. When we get any, convert to a list, store it here. If it is not equal to null, we want to loop through the list, and now we want to create an instance of this individual chat DTO. In that, we want to formulate the receiver and the sender name from this user manager. Very simple. Return the chat list, else return null. That is when the chat is null, then return null to the user. Okay, that's what we're doing. So this what our repo needs to contain. So now we have this, we can save everything and we can close this up. Now do you remember that in the second video, or when we started, we created this chat service and we created a hub service in here, but later on we did not use the hub service. That is the time. We want to create a connection or this hub service separately so we can be using it in other pages. Because here we're going to have it a single page and this may be a chat group page, and in all these pages you need not to create hub connection, we need not to build connection again because we've built it and we have to use it in other pages. So let's see, from the service that we created in the client service, you see we named it as chat service. Well, we're going to change this to my hub connection service. You can change it to what you want, okay? Okay, now within this you need to create a constructor here passing this navigation manager, and now we need to build this. After building, we then have to start this connection. So I'm going to clear all this because we don't need this now. Let's remove all this. let's remove this too. Okay, so we have is connected. Maybe this is connected, we can set it somewhere else. So okay, so we have this constructor created, and we have this hub connection with the URL, and also we are building this. Aside from building this, what can we do again? We can then start this. So here, let me actually put in some comment here to see. When you got the source code, you can actually just go through, and now when we are there, we need to start the connection. And after starting this connection, I want to check the states. Okay, so we need to create a connection. We need to create a method, not a connection anymore. Create a method that is known as get connection state. Okay, so we want to get a state after we start the connection. Then we need a public variable here that we can use to retrieve this outside the service, and that is a get connection, hub connection. Then we assign to this connection that we have initialized from the constructor. Okay, now within this, we want to have to check the state of this connection. We can use this get connection state, and now we see we get a connection in here, and now we check if it's not equal to null, return is connected, and that's going to be true. You see, good. Then that's all that we need to do in here. Very simple one, and we're going to save everything. Let's close it. Now we have to restart this. Don't forget, it's very important. Okay, so from this we need to restart this in both projects, server and client. So let's do it. Server first or client first? Which one first? Okay, so do add your own. I also add my own. I have mine here. Then do you have the service in here? No, I do not. If not, then we go to the client. Oh wow, I think we have it here again. I need not to repeat this. Then we go to the solution from the client to we do same, and that is this. Okay, you can add a singleton or a scope, anyone. It's gonna work. That's fine. Then we're gonna close everything from here. Close all tabs. Yes, save them, and I get them closed. So once you're done here, we go to the chat service, not the chat service, the chat page. And in here, we need to inject the service so we can use it. So we need not to build connection again when the page initializes. Don't do that anymore. Okay. So we have to inject the service here, and that is my hub connection, and it's a hub connection. So when it copy this, now come down here, and here we have this hub connection. This is an instance that we created when we started. Okay, so we have this already created. Now when the page initializes, I hate this kind of red lines. When the page initializes, instead of building this hub connection, we're going to say that this hub connection is equal to hub connection service dot, then we're going to have a method known as get hub connection. So after we get a connection, then we can remove this build. Then we can go on and now subscribe to the event. Very simple. Okay, now when you come to this one too, we have the same hub connection, and now this hub connection, we have a state known as is connected. So we can still check hub connection dot is connected. Then we can also check this up. That's what we're doing. Okay, so in order to get all available users, we have to get a list, and that is a get available list. We have it already in here. That is this one. I like to rearrange this well, so maybe this will be on top. The first one, get available users. Okay, aside from that, we need a form, and this one is going to be group chat form. It's no more a chat, it is rather group chat form. This is a group chat, so we have to remove this one. When we are done, the red lines will be off, don't worry. And aside from that, we have our connection. So this is our connection, and this connection must follow. Now, you see we have a connection created, and now we have a list of group chat. So this is a list of group chat, because here we will need to retrieve the list so we can display it on the screen. Okay, now there you go. We have a cascading parameter, and whereby you can get the state of the user, either authenticated or not. But since I think we have this authorized attribute on top here, it means before you visit or you have access to this page, you must be an authenticated user. Trust me. Okay, Then we must first have our connection in here. But before we start to create our connection, we need to implement it in the hub. So let's go to the hub. And where's the hub? Have you found yours? Yeah, this is mine. So with this hub, it's inherited from the hub, as you know, and we are injecting this chat repo as an interface. This is an interface that has a service that we created or repository that we created to get access to database. Now the first method here is we're going to override this, and I'll change the name and the inside method. Okay, so that's a block code. So here we're going to send message. You see I've updated the name, making it longer. Okay, so send message to group, and now we pass in this group chat, and that's a chat. And now this, when we add the message, it returns a DTO. So we save it, we pass on to the method that we're going to call, and now we get it. You're going to send to all clients, all users connected. Okay, now what if in case I add, or when the user joins the chat, this method needs to be called and add available user automatically. So we have to get the context ID, and in that we're going to pass in the available user to this add available user repo method that we created, and now we're going to broadcast it to all, notify all clients. In case I do remove users too, or I sign out or I log out, I want to also do same, get the list, and I'll pass on to this method. Okay, now here's the magic. Okay, add individual chat. So if I want to add individual chat, what am I going to do? So get available users. Okay, so maybe we can just clear this. We made this our time, but we can remove this from here. Add individual chat. So it is coming as an individual chat, and now in here you can see we are calling this add individual chat async. We pass in this chat. Aside from that, we need to get the sender and now the receiver ID. Okay, so we can grab the specific chat from the database. So in that, we need to make it as a post or as a post request. So we need to provide as a payload from here. And in that, when you check here, you can see we have the user receiver ID. It is coming from this payload object. Sender also coming from the same thing. And now we call this an endpoint in the repo. We pass in the payload. Aside from that, the response that you have from here, we need to create an instance of this individual DTO and populate it. So from the receiver name and the sender name, as you know this is not the first time we'll be saying this. So we also have to get this from the list that we get in here from this get chat. Okay, then we say await client.user. So the user ID we pass on here, and we send. So this is sending only to the user, and receiving the individual message as a method that we are binding to. We're passing the message in here, which has been prepared as a model, and that's what we are doing. Okay, very simple one. Okay, so let's save this. Then we can close this, and now when we come back to the chat page, we can just come in here and now resolve these red lines. So after building the chat hub, we have a connection that we're retrieving from the service. We have it here now. It is ready and it's kicking. What you need to do here is you're first going to map this. We're going to subscribe to this method. So the first method here is the receive message, receive group message. Okay, so we have as hub connection, then group chat DTO, that's going to be the response or the return t value, and we pass in the object in here from the method, or this is the receive group method. And now we're going to add it to this group chat. This is a group, so we're going to add it to the group chat list that we created in here. Okay, then we invoke this to display it on the screen. Aside from that, what if I want to notify client that the user is off, user has joined, then the same thing. So we are doing the same thing in here, and it is the same. So we're going to return a list of available user DTO. So here we're going to get a list from the repo, and I will pass on to this method as the users, and we assign it to this. So here we assign it, and now here we are adding. Take note. So we assign it, and now we have to invoke it, display or re-render the page, or reload and refresh the page to see, for it to be seen on the screen. Okay. Now when the page gets rendered, since this is going to be the initialized life cycle, this starts at first when the page starts to render, and now in that starts, we've done this already, so we can clear this. We're going to get user authentication. Okay, so this method, let's see what we can do to actually grab this method. Now when this method is called, that is where we can simplify this. That is where we want to call this add available user method. We pass in the new available user, and here, since the user is authenticated, we can get the user ID from the claim. Okay, and that is all. So here we need the user ID from this end. You know, add available user, when you check the hub, add available user, there's the payload, and then here we need the context ID or the connection ID and now the user ID. So we specify the user ID in here, and now the context ID also be specified or be added or be top up in the hub. And that is all that we are doing. With this connection state, we need to clear this because we did that in the service. Okay. And aside from that, when you click on, maybe we can just grab the user chart. So when the page loads initially, we need to get the chart which has been is it chart of the group. Okay, let me put it in that way. So we want to grab this chart, and that is what we are doing here. But within this, we won't need available user because we're going to assign it as a list. So we won't need this. We need to clear one of the HTTP instance. Yes. So group charts, we assign it, and we get from a JSON async as a list of group chart DTO. And we need to create our controller and map it the route to group dash or chart. We're going to do this when we are done fixing these errors. Okay. Now aside from that, we need a method that we can send a message to the group. And now this here, we're going to maintain it. We're going to override this, and now say send chat to group. Okay, so in here we are having this group chat, and with that group chat, we are providing the ID. In here we assign it to the context or the current state of the user. You want to grab the ID. Aside from that, you want to send to this method. You pass on the model, and now we create or we clear the content. All these errors, I think we need to just fix this to get a clear view. So this must be from here, and now send, supposed to be in here, send group, okay, that's all we need to do here. So that is a model. Now we can grab this group chat, and now here we're going to replace it. That is it. So we don't have username here, so we can remove this username. So we have only the message. We have a button and a submit. Yes, and now it is off. Okay. So when you check here, we don't need this. Can remove this. Okay. Now authentication states, it is coming from this one, so we can just change this to this, and now we have it. Now get user authentication, and that is a current user authentication. Yes. Okay, so that's what I need to do. And at the last method here, it is if I click on chat a specific user, what am I going to do? I want to chat this specific user in here, and you can see we pass in with the available DTO, and I return instance. And now within this, we must create a state, because you know we want to set a property such a way that we can retrieve it within components. So it's better that we use state. So let's create a state in here. State is just a class, okay, which will be registered as singleton or scope. And in that, it has some property that we can assign values to. Very simple. So maybe we can just go to the, since this is limited or related to the client, maybe you can put it inside the client. Okay. So in here, let's add a folder to this, and now let's say this is app states. And now with this, we're going to say available, maybe user state. You can give it any suitable name of your choice, and that's the name that I've chosen. Available user state. You to choose yours. In that, you have two properties that we're going to be having: private sets, and we're going to have an inbuilt method to set the property of values to these properties. So set states, we're going to assign values to the receiver ID and the full name. So we want to assign the full name. When we get the full name, we also want to get the receiver so we can use it in the chat hub. Okay. Now let's save this. That's fine. And let's go back to the chat page. So in here, we need to register this service. And this service must be registered in both. Talking about the server and now the client. I believe by now you know this. So just go to the program. And here, I register mine. You to do yours. So register yours too, and I'll do mine. And let's go. So maybe where I have my app connection, I'll put it in here. Very simple one. Save this. Now when you go back to the chat page, I need to then inject this. So you can put it in the import, okay, .razor. So you can create an instance once and I use it a whole lot, okay. But I'm not going to do that. Okay, yes. I'm going to inject it here. So on top of the page, I want to do that so that when you pick, you know, this component has all the information and all the code that it needs. Okay, that's why I'm not using the import.razor, but you can use that when you know what you're doing. Let's include this, and now from the state, when you come here, we want to set the properties or set state. We pass in full name and the user ID. Start from that, we're going to navigate to. We can make it individual. We can make it single chat, individual chat. We'll find a suitable name. Okay. Maybe individual will be okay. Because since everything is individual, so we want to make individual. Okay. Now we need to create a. Let's create this property or component for this. Now here from the chat, I'm going to name this as individual. So this individual.razor. Now the route here is going to be individual. Let's save this. Let's clear content. So let's go to the group chat. That's the chat page, and I complete this. Okay. So here I'm going to rename this not chat page, but it's going to be group chat. So here it has group chats. Yes. And maybe this can be individual chat. What do you think? That is to me, okay? So this, we have group chat, individual chat. I think this is more readable, isn't it? Yeah. So group chat, individual, we have maybe you can just add individual chat. And from this group chat, you can also give the name as group chat. Yes. This sounds better. Okay. Now let's complete this. Now from the group, I'm not sure I'll be able to take you through all the UI, because you know UI takes a lot of time to actually do it. You have to go back and front. So this I'm going to do. I'm going to paste what I created, and based on the UI, you just capture the UI and I try to do something similar to it. Okay. Or the source could also be available. You can also go in there and grab it if you want my UI, my design UI. Okay. So yes, I'm going to. There's the whole UI, and I'm going to replace it with my own custom UI. So this I'm doing, or this what, yes, you and I, we are doing, but this time around I am doing, because I did this, not you. Okay, so you can see this is just a row that we are creating, and I'm dividing this section into two. We have column LG3 and LG9, making 12 for the whole section of the page. Okay, now in that we have the available user on top. In here, we are looping through the list, and now we're going to set it in here. we create an anchor tag, and now whereby with this we're going to have an onClick event. Call this method chat user, passing the current user, this one. Okay, we've done this already, and I want to go to the next one. So that is this. If I open this, we have the chat container, and now we have the other star on top to move it up and down, and we have this authorized view component. Let's see, with this authorized view, I think we need to include the namespace. So Microsoft.ASP.NET call dot authorization, and then that's the namespace that we need to use. We even have it here. So what is the issue? Let me save this, let me close this and open it again. Okay, it is in. I'm looping to the group chat, setting some properties in here, sender and our receiver, to display the name, and I'll shift them left and right, left and right, left and right, okay, to have a nice UI. And also we having this this side in here, a small test for this daytime to format the date well for us. And that down here we also have this edit form, whereby in here we have a group chat model, and now with this we having the dot message, and if it is clicked, we want to call this method send chat to group. Actually, there's no need since we have this form. I think we can clear this. And what again? Group chat, what is it saying? Does not contain the meaning for message. Okay, are you sure? Dot. Okay, so group chat, this group chat here, it is component, so let's say group chat page, long one, individual chat page, I think, to get rid of any future errors. Yeah, so it is off. Okay, so that's all that we need to do, very simple one, and that is it. Okay, before we run this, we have to perform migration because we've done a lot. Okay, now let's right click on this, let's clean projects, or let's clean solution. After that, we're going to build projects, and yeah, succeeded. Let's build this, and if it also succeeds, then we're going to perform migration to this, create a new table in a database, new database, and SQLite. Whoa, we have some issues in here. Let's check it out. So group chat does not contain definition for me. And what? Oh, this is message, not me. Dot message. Group chat dot message. Okay. Let's do it again. Another one, chat repo does not contain get chat async. Yes, from the repo. From the controller, I nearly forgot it. Yes, it's good that you've remembered me. Okay, from the chat controller, we need to actually, oh, this is just a simple one. We have to rewrite this. Okay, we have only three methods in here. One for HTTP GET, we have post one in here to post individual, so we can retrieve get individual chat, get user async, and also get group chat. So we call the repo that we created, and that is exactly what we're doing. Okay, let's do solution again. That's fine. Hooray. So it is built. Once succeeded, 2 up to date. That's fine. We're going to add migration. So you're going to say that add migration to this. And maybe this is going to be third or forgotten. Let's give it any name. Now let's wait after it has finished creating the class. Then we update it. That's fine, and that is done. Update the database. Yes, this is also done. Now let's run this application. But before that, let's open the database. So I have it open. As you can see from here, we have group chat, we have available users, and we have individual chat. These are the 3 tables that we need most for now. Okay, the rest, all we need here is the ASP.NET users, and that is all. The rest, keep them, we don't need them for now. Okay, so let's put it somewhere else, and here let's log in. So let's see, we are logging in. Let's wait and see. Okay, so we are in. I'm going to create one instance of the browser and also try to get this logged in. So we'll try this, reload this page. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Now in here, paste this, and I'll run this. Now we also, so this login as Netcode-Hub, and this is login as Frederick. So we can log out. So we are out, yes. Now let's go in. So we are going in, we are in. And this too, let's go in, we are in. Now when you check the database, go to available users. So you can see from here, we have no user ID, no connection ID. Click on chat. Oh, see the route? Okay. That means you have to check it out quick. Let's go and do it. So we go to the nav menu. And now where we have this chat, this is group chat. Here it is a home. We have group chat, we have individual chat. So this is a group chat. I'm going to say this is group chat, and now it is linking up to group chat. Okay, let's rerun this and check it out. But you know what, here we have to inject the class, I remember. So let's actually do this, tackle this again before going. So let's also inject this here. Okay, we have a hub connection on top here injected. And this will come from the namespace as client service. And now from this, when the page initializes, you have the hub connection created. And we're going to say the hub connection is equal to, is it even an await? So hub connection, what is this one? Is hub connection service. Let's copy this. So dot get hub connection. Okay, then we can remove this, and we can also remove this one. Okay, so we build that, and now when we build the connection, we send remove user async with the connection passing the ID. That's all that we need to do in here. This shouldn't be an async, so we can just use this lambda expression here. And we can remove this, override. Okay, so we have this is void, protected void, and this must be uninitialized. Yes, so the void must be here. Okay. Alright, so that's all that we need to do. Now let's run this again. Okay, so this is ready. Now let's check our available user. So there's nothing here. Group chat 2, there's nothing. Individual chat 2, there's nothing. Available user. Okay, so now we are going to log in. Log into this one. We are logging at Simon. And now let's log into this. We log into this too. We are Netcode-Hub. Then let's log into this as Frederick. Yes, so we have 3 users logged in. Alright, let's check our database and see what is going on. Refresh this. Whoa, nothing happens. The reason is the user hasn't clicked on the chat yet. So click on this. So if I decide to log out, let's see, yes, I'm out. I can still log in again. So our logout is also working. Now, when I click on, refresh this once again, click on chat. So we have, we see available users, so loading. Now it is loading, and now we see from here chat connected, right? And here we have no user available. Yes, because you're the first person clicking on the group chat. So no user available. And now we did not show yourself. No, you are hidden. You did not show yourself. So as far as you've opened this, it means you are online, but the rest are not. We have chat connected down here. We can start typing your message. Now let's see. If I click on the database and now let's try to refresh this, you can see now you have your user ID, you have your connection ID set in here. You see? Let's go in there and log in. Let's tell Fred to log in. Hey Fred, can you log in? Yes, I'm going to log in. So Fred clicks on this, and I can see available user, Frederick is online. Now Netcode is online here. So on the Frederick view, Netcode is available. On Netcode view, Fred is available. Let's tell Simon to also log in. Simon, can you log in? Yes. Now let's see. Simon also get logged in, and now you can see available users for Fred. You can see Netcode-Hub, and you can see Simon. For Netcode-Hub, you can see Frederick and Simon. For Simon, you can see Netcode-Hub and Frederick. Now let's start the chat. So Frederick gonna start. So hello. Hello. Yeah, so click on send. And now with this method, it needs to be sent, and you can see here we have an error here. It should be displayed here. Click on this again. Nothing is happening. Now when you check your database, that is individual chats, not a group chat, nothing is happening here. Maybe I need to restart this to make this work. So I just restarted the computer, and now let's see if this will work. Okay, so Fred is going to still initialize the chat. So hello, that's the first one. What do you think? Then click on send, and now you can see yes. So hello, Fred sends it. And from the point of view, or from the viewpoint of the Fred, it is named as you. And now from this, we have Frederick. That is the name that we set in the states. And also from here, the same thing. Now, if I open this in an maximum mode, you can see from here that you have this thread in here. Now, Netcode-Hub wants to respond. So this is Netcode-Hub. Then, how may I help you? That's a customer service. Okay, so how may I help you? Then Netcode-Hub sends on this. So you can see, now Netcode-Hub, this is you. We have the date and time formatted in there. And now you have it in here. Okay? Now let's go to the other ones and check it out. So you can see from here to Netcode-Hub is saying this, Netcode-Hub, how may I help you? Then maybe you can say, I'm here too. So who are you? Then I'm here too, you have it. The next person, that is Simon, will say, okay, you are here, who are you? Then let's say, so who are you? So you can see that the chat is working, the group chat is working. Who are you? Click on send, and I can see who are you. So you can see from here, you have you, Netcode-Hub, you, and now what? Simon. Okay, the same thing applies to this. Then maybe I can add, and what's your name? So I click on send, and I can say I have it. Now let's see if the next person decides to chat. Okay, and so maybe I'm Frederick. So from Ghana, then send this. So you can see that you have the response. Now check it out. So can just write that's fine. Now see, okay, so we have this and we have this set up in here, so that's fine. All right, so this our chat is working. So let's try to pass in, maybe I have this copied, the same code, and that's this one. So I'm going to paste this, and I will see that this is the code that I pasted. Now let's check and see if we can have a look. Yeah, it is here. You see that? So that is this one. Okay, so what left here is, let's see, let's reload this. Let's assume, or let's first check if we can actually retrieve from the database when the app reloads. Okay, so let's go in there and now reload this. So it is loading users. Yes, and now we have it. So all these are coming from the database. They are stored in there. Let's check. So group chat, refresh this. Yes, and that's what we have. You see? So this is a message that we pasted. Yeah, so we have this. All right, now if I want to chat this person, if I click on this, a new page gets opened. 404. Let's work on this. So from the code, let's go to the individual page. And now with this individual page, let's copy this. Let's go to the group chats, and here we have to change this. So individual chats, let's save this. Now let's go back. So here we need to create our code section. Let's have our code. We need these properties, as you know, this cascading authentication state to get the auth user. We need this individual chat DTO to get the chat list. We need an individual chats also to get a single one, so we can pass on to the method in the hub. And so we need a hub connection. Okay, let's save this. I'm going to close this and open it again. Individual chats page. Okay, so now we need to include the namespace of this one. Let's include this. We need to include all, and this one. Okay, now when the page initializes, you know what you're going to do, isn't it? We have to get the chat, individual chat from the database. So when the page initializes, we calling this hub connection, and before we call this connection, it means that we have to inject this, but we haven't done that. So we have to do it now. We inject a hub connection service. This is coming from the client service, and we have it here. So from that, we subscribe to this, receive individual message, we pass on to this, and we are going to add it to the list that we created. Now we need to retrieve the list. That is the sender ID and the receiver ID from the state. The receiver ID is coming from the state to get at the receiver's ID, and now we need to get it. So it tells us that we need to also inject the state. Let's also put the state in here, and this is coming from app states. Okay, so now that we have this is also coming from the claims. We need to get the claims, and we have to retrieve the name identifier from the claims. So maybe I can put it in this way. Okay, then we have to make a call to an API endpoint from the controller, and I retrieve individual chat which has occurred between the client and now the receiver. What if in case we have a div edit form that you want to send message? That is where we call this. So we have a send message individual chat, then we need to populate the receiver ID and the sender ID. So we can get this from this authentication state user. So we see we are repeating this. You can also implement dry to get you one method to implement that. I'll leave that one up to you. We call this method in the hub. We pass on to this model, and I will create an instance of this. We add it to the list. We clear the container, and everything is okay. Yeah, that's what we are doing. Very simple one. Okay, so let's save this, and that's all that we need to do. We've done all the work in here, and it's just a simple one. Just have to make a reference with any, and we are good to go. Okay, so we save this. Oh, not this one. Save the code. Maybe before I push this, I make this source code available. I'll make some. Maybe I'll just publish this a little bit. Okay, I'll make some finishing touches, 1 or 2, so you can actually get the source code. Yes, thinking of that. All right, so now with the UI, as you know, I'm going to copy the UI, and it's the same thing as we did. The first one is the same, so if you can do something similar to this, yes, then I give you thumbs up. You can also do the same, very simple one. So here we're gonna have 3 rows. Now the first row here is talking about, as you know from the first one, in the div here, whereby you have the sender name and now the receiver name, shifting it to right, margin, left, align, self, end. And so these are the bootstrap classes that we are adding to shift the content left and right, left and right. So from that, you see we have this color. We're adding color to this. If it is you, being what? Blue. If it is the other person, a sender or receiver, be green, more, etc. So we are using this in here. And now this is a message. We are formatting the date and then put it under. Okay. Now here we have the edit form and now say individual chat. And now when it's submitted, we call this method. And I submit this individual chat model. Okay. This is what that we need to do here. Okay. You know this already. We've done this long ago. Done this in the other component, that's the group chat. So I need not to explain this anymore. All right, so let's run this and now check this up. Okay, so it is ready. Now let's log into this, and here we have Frederick already logged in. This is a group chat. Okay, so we have this Netcode-Hub available. Group chat is also available from the site. Now we're going to start the chat. Yeah, so Frederick is available. Netcode-Hub is also available. So if I click on this, you can see we are in here. Frederick is on top. Click on this, Netcode-Hub. This guy is on top, Netcode-Hub. Now let's start the chat. So here I'm going to say, hi Fred. How are you? Click on send, and our friend gets it. So hey, Netcode. I'm good. You see? Okay, so maybe you can continue on. Hi, is everyone? So these are the basic greetings. Talk about how are you? Hi, is everyone? Oh, great, 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 great. And then yes. So we keep chatting, and we see it is still going on well. So if I open it, yeah, that's what we have. So we have the Frederick, we have you in here. So on. So can we have? Can you have something? All right. So click on this. Now you see we're still moving on. Okay. So that is it. It's working. Let's see again. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So it's working. So for now, and user can also log out. You log in, and now let's see. Click on this group, and now you wait. This is a group chat, and now Frederick is still online. Click on this Frederick. You can say continue on. So I'm back again. Now click on send, and now go to Frederick and see. So I'm back again. Oh, okay. Maybe your line went off. Okay, your line went off, and I have it. Okay, so yes. And now result. And you have it. Alright, so that is it for this video. We're not going to continue anymore, okay? Yeah, so we're going to end here. And that is it. So I'm going to make some, maybe finishing touches, and I'll make the source code available. So if you want to grab it, check the video description. If you want to also grab the previous videos in there, check the description as well. Video 1, 2, 3, they're all there. You can watch them as well. Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to catch up again. Till then, take care.